الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونستهديه ونشكره ونتوب إليه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهد الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له، وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له ولا مثيل له ولا شبيه له ولا ضد له ولا ند له، وأشهد أن نبينا وحبيبنا وعظيمنا وقائدنا وقرة أعيننا سيدنا محمدا عبده ورسوله وصفيه وحبيبه، من بعثه الله رحمة للعالمين هاديا ومبشرا ونذيرا، بلغ الرسالة وأدى الأمانة ونصح الأمة وجاهد في الله حق جهاده، فجزاه الله عنا خير ما جزى نبيا من أنبيائه، فصلوات الله وسلامه عليه وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين. واللهم ارض عن ساداتنا أبو بكر وعمر وعثمان وعلي، وعن سائر الصحابة والتابعين ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. أما بعد، عباد الله، فإني أوصيكم ونفسي بتقوى الله العلي القدير القائل بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم: بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والذين استجابوا لربهم وأقاموا الصلاة وأمرهم شورى بينهم ومما رزقناهم ينفقون. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Shura, chapter 42, verse 38, "And those who respond to their Lord and establish prayers, and their affairs are conducted by consultations among themselves, and from what we have provided them they spend." And notice in this ayah that Shura or consultation came in right in the middle between doing prayers and doing charity. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us in Surah Al-Imran chapter 3 verse 159, فَبِمَا رَحْمَةٍ مِّنَ اللَّهِ لِنْتَ لَهُمْ وَلَوْ كُنْتَ فَظًّا غَلِيظَ الْقَلْبِ لَانفَضُّوا مِنْ حَوْلِكَ فَاعْفُ عَنْهُمْ وَاسْتَغْفِرْ لَهُمْ وَشَاوِرْهُمْ فِي الْأَمْرِ فَإِذَا عَزَمْتَ فَتَوَكَّلْ عَلَى اللَّهِ إِنَّ اللَّهَ يُحِبُّ الْمُتَوَكِّلِينَ. In Surah Al-Imran, verse 159, chapter 3, "So because of mercy from Allah, you dealt gently with them, and if you had been rude and harsh at the heart, surely they would have dispersed from around you. Then pardon from them and ask forgiveness for them and consult them in the matter." That's an order to consult, order to Rasul alayhi salatu wasalam. "Then when you have decided, then put trust on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Indeed, Allah loves the ones who put trust in Him." وعن الخليفة علي بن أبي طالب رضي الله عنه قال: سئل رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم عن العزم قال: مشاورة أهل الرأي ثم اتباعهم. The Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم was asked about on making decisions, and his answer was, consult the people of opinion and then follow them. So today, inshallah, I will start a series about what scholars of today, Muslims and non-Muslims, historians and non-historians, consider it as a lost treasure. By the time I'm done today, you will understand the true definition of a shura or consultation and what happened to it. By the time I'm done with the series, you'll be asking, how did we have this self-inflicted mistake on ourselves, and how did we give up our freedom of choice and subcontracting it to the tyrants and the slaves and worshippers of the tyrants and the fanatics and the scholars of the sultans. In general, people revolve around three things. They either revolve around material stuff, whether it's their house, their jobs, their gadgets, whatever it is, their cars, their money, or around people, including their lust. It's because they are people, so they can be revolving around their lust, or could be considering revolving around other people, like a football player, a singer, a tyrant, like the fanatics or the scholars, the sultans would do. Or, for us Muslims, around the principles and values and honorable morals of Islam. And what a shura or consultation brings to us is to revolve around that principles of Islam, around the morals, honorable morals of Islam and the value of Islam. Brings us to that level, brings us that freedom. Shura, which means consultation, is a tool for reconstruction and reform, mentioned in the Quran and suggested in the practice of Rasul alayhi salatu wasalam and his companions. And since it's in the Quran and the Sunnah, there is no difference in opinion about it, it's divine. Shura, which comes from the verb shower, and the verb shower, I'm talking Arabic, not English, or means consult, is derived from which means he gathered or extracted honey from the comb of the honey and separated from the wax. That's the beautiful meaning of consultation or shura. Today's Muslims remain largely unaware of shura's importance and value. And some Islamic scholars are uncertain about when the principle is obligatory, which matters call for consultation. Relevant texts also include numerous Quranic verses that establish a foundation for consultation not only in political arena but also in individual life, between husband and wives, between parents and children, and even situations involving marital discord or divorce. And like in Surah Al-Baqarah, for example, it discusses that parents can have a conversation and consultation among themselves on when to wean the baby from breastfeeding. Many other purposes and benefits can be achieved through the practice of consultation. If we build upon the view expressed by our scholars, consultation is the first social practice for which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala established a precedent. When the story in the Quran regarding the creation of Adam, Allah, of course, subhanahu wa ta'ala, does not take permission from the angels, but He starts a conversation with the angels and gives and take with them, and they ask Him and they give their opinion and He answers them and He gives His opinion. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is teaching from this story that we need, before we make decisions, to start a conversation and a dialogue. In a modern context, Shura has been associated on the one hand with democratic participation in decision-making process with qualification particular to the Quran and Sunnah. On the other hand, critics challenge equating Shura or consultation with democracy. I am among the students who refuse to equate or conflate Shura with democracy, and allow me to explain. I want you to understand that Islam is a divine system of life and it is 100% perfect. We are not perfect, Islam is perfect. Our beloved messenger who taught us Shura is a revelation himself and is 100% perfect. We are not perfect. Democracy, on the other hand, is a man-made system of life and is not perfect because it's made by man. So there is no reason for us to take from man-made system of life called democracy. Okay? Definition of democracy is a form of government in which the people have the authority to choose their governing legislation or rule of the people, or what they call mobocracy. That definition was actually taken from our institution of Shura, because the West took parts of our Shura institution into their system. There is an overlap or intersection between Shura and democracy in the right of people to choose who represent them, rule them, and take care of their affairs. Both institutions, whether the institution of Shura, consultation, or democracy, in agreement that they do not accept a ruler imposed on them by force. People have the right to hold the ruler accountable and impeach him if he deviates. Both institutions agree that a ruler cannot force people to accept economic, social, political, and educational policies which people hate and do not accept. But democracy decided to cancel the rights of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and it has the separation from religion and state. Shura consultation, we observe the rule of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which what I call all the time the y-axis, and the public interest or the creation of Allah rights, which I call the x-axis. So if any Muslim parliament decided to equate, for example, men and women in inheritance, the ruler has the right to veto it because it violates the rights of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because there is a mention, a ruling in it in the Quran and the Sunnah. So Shura does not apply on anything that is there are a clear text or decisions on it in the Quran and Sunnah. Shura applies when there are no definite ruling in the Quran or Sunnah or the consensus of the scholars. In democracy, the rights of Allah are completely neglected and erased. All right? So interest, which to us is haram, becomes halal. Alcohol, which is haram, becomes halal. Idol worshipping, okay, which is haram to us, becomes halal. And all these things came back. These are all considered pre-Islamic conditions that existed before Islam, meaning, and the current tyrants brought it back to the Arab Peninsula specifically. In democracy, what's known for us as haram, it's open for discussion. What is known as halal is also open for discussion. But the Shura consultation does not allow the halal to be haram and the haram to be halal, like what's happening now in the Muslim world. Our institution of Al-Shura consultation is the only system in life, in the world, which balances the rights of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the rights of the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Shura of today, unfortunately, it only exists to protect the tyrant. So Shura is not exercised as it's supposed to be. Shura exists only by name, just like Muslims today exist by name. The Muslim world largely stuck today in political authoritarianism or tyranny, and should adopt consultation as a way of life for national security to protect individual and community interest, and as a tool for reconstruction and reform. In this series, we will explore how the principle can be introduced and applied in Muslim society and life. Before we do a deep dive into the subject, we need some historic facts about Shura and the phases it went through. It is with deep sorrow to tell you that this structure was implemented at 100% capacity only during two eras. It was implemented during the life of Rasul alayhi salatu wasalam for 23 years, 13 years in Mecca and 10 years in Medina, and the 30 years of rightly guided Khalif, which is 53 years altogether. So from 41 Hijrah until today, we have not implemented this institution in its full potential. Rasul alayhi salatu wasalam said, in the translation of what he said, prophethood will be among you as long as God intends. And that was 23 years, like I mentioned. And then Allah will take it away if He so wills. Then there will be a khilafat according to the prophetic method. And this is the only time He said a khilafat according to the prophetic method. And that was 30 years. It was 29, and it will be among you as long as Allah intends, and then Allah will take it away if He wills. And that was for between Khalifa Abu Bakr, Umar, Uthman, wa alayhi, may Allah be pleased with them, 29 and a half years, or 29 and 6 months, and then the 6 months afterward, Khalifa Hassan was elected to complete the prophecy of Rasul alayhi salatu wasalam. So that was of 30 years of Khilafah in accordance to the prophethood. So that's the 30 years. Then after that, Rasul did not say a khilafah. Rasul said, then will be a mordacious monarchy. A mordacious monarchy is monarchy by inheritance or hereditary succession, meaning a father is the Khalifa or the Sultan, then the son will come afterward, take over, and then his son, and there are no sons, the brothers, if they are brothers, and if there is none, the cousin, and then their kids come. That's how it is. So that's a mordacious monarchy. So the ruler was not, and this is why I call it the mordacious monarchy, partial shura, because the ruler or the Khalifa or the Sultan was chosen by inheritance, but everything else in political or social and civil and everything else, the shura was being exercised, but not in picking the Sultan or the Khalifa. And he said, Rasulullah, it will be among you as long as Allah intends, and then Allah will take it away if He so wills. And that stayed until April 1909, when the coup on the Sultan Abdul Hamid took place, or Rajab of 1327. So the mordacious monarchy lasted 1286 years. Then there will be tyrannical monarchy, will be among you as long as Allah intends, and then Allah will take it away when He so wills. So we've been living for over 110 years, since 1909 until today, under tyrannical monarchy. Then there will be a khilafat in accordance with the prophetic methods. I don't know if we will live to see that, but I'm hoping that the next generation will bring back the exercise or the institution of consultation, shura, to bring it back. Now, why there was a decision to change it from full-fledged 100% shura, consultation, to partial shura and picking up the Sultan? During that time, there were a lot of tribulations and civil wars and differences among the Muslims. So when the Islamic empire shifted from shura to inheritance, it was the result of a deep awareness from the companions that it was a necessary step in order to preserve the existence of the Islamic empire, and that Islam itself would remain in place. Otherwise, the alternative would be uprooting the state and uprooting Islam. We are not in a position here to judge the people or the predecessors that took that decision over 1400 years ago. تلك أمة قد خلت لها ما كسبت ولكم ما كسبتم ولا تسألون عما كانوا يعملون. This was a community which has passed away, for it what it earned, and for you what you have earned, and not you will be asked about what they used to do. And this is in Surah Al-Baqarah chapter 2 verse 134. So we cannot judge them, but we cannot apply that line of thinking that they had on us either. That will not work for us. But we cannot deny that this kind of decision that was made then brought some tyrants. But the overall view, we had a lot of just rulers, and that's how we reached during the Umayyad Empire, a utopia during the Khilafah of Khalifa Umar ibn Abdul Aziz, when there was everyone had enough money to the degree that when they came for the zakat time, no poor person was around to give the zakat to. Okay, we cannot deny that we reached the golden age, and we were the highest, the center of gravity when it came to education in both areas, in Europe, in the Islamic empire in Europe, and in the Arab Peninsula. And we cannot deny that we reached all close to the gates of Vienna, all the way to China, Africa. Most of the world was under us. So that decision, when it was made, that was based on what we call in Islamic jurisprudence or fiqh al-Islami, fiqh al-mumkin, what was attainable, what was the jurisprudence of what was attainable, and that's why the decision was made. But that does not mean we need to apply the same thing. So, but from the time the coup took place on Sultan Abdul Hamid until today, we've been living in complete tyranny. But during the mordacious Al-Mulk al-Aad in Arabic, during the mordacious monarchy, Islam was being protected, Islam was being defended, and the rights of and we will never invite Muslim invaders to Muslim lands. But during the tyrannical monarchies which we're living in right now, as I was saying, which is Al-Mulk al-Jabri, the rights of Allah is being violated. The rights of the creation of Allah is being violated. Everything revolves around one person, the tyrants. And we invite the foreign invaders to Muslim lands. And we invite, and they invite Muslim invaders to rape our women, to steal our wealth, and to change our education. So they are not the current Al-Mulk al-Jabri or tyrannical monarchy, did not defend Islam and did not observe the rights of Allah or observe the rights of the creation of Allah. But during the mordacious monarchy, even though, or Al-Mulk al-Aad, even though the rulers were picked by inheritance, but everything else was ideal usage of Shura was practiced. The Islamic Empire, as overall view, had an executive branch, legislative branch, judicial branch, oversight and reform branch, and certain times they even had financial branch separate from the executive branch. They upheld the principles of Islam, of sovereignty of Sharia. Allah's laws and the people are the source of power in everything during that time, except in picking Al-Khalifa. But unfortunately, today, in tyrannical monarchies, they brought back pre-Islamic conditions. Idol worshipping is back in the Arab Peninsula. Mistreatment of women is back. Alcohol and interest is back. Inner wars among the Muslims or the Arabs back. All preconditions, pre-Islamic conditions that existed before the Al-Mulk al-Jabri or tyrannical monarchies brought it all back. The tyrannical monarchies is one of the things that I mentioned before as the reason behind us being backwards, as I mentioned before. Consultation is mentioned explicitly in Surah chapter 42, the Surah al-Shura, along with fundamental characteristics of believing Muslims who would consult among themselves in all matters of common concern. Scholars have recognized this reference to the practice of consultation along with other characteristics viewed as essential elements and foundation of the Islamic religion. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. الحمد لله وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له ولي الصالحين وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. فبما رحمة من الله لنت لهم ولو كنت فظا غليظ القلب لانفضوا من حولك فاعف عنهم واستغفر لهم وشاورهم في الأمر فإذا عزمت فتوكل على الله إن الله يحب المتوكلين. Again, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Surah Al-Imran chapter 3 verse 159 says, in the translation of the meaning of it, so because of mercy from Allah you dealt gently with them, and if you had been rude and harsh at the heart, surely they would have dispersed from around you. then pardon from them and ask forgiveness from them and consult them in the matter. Then when you have decided, then put trust on Allah. Indeed, Allah loves the ones who put trust in Him. This is addressed to the Messenger of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the capacity as a guide, as an educator, as a commander, and as a leader, and one who calls others to faith in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. These rules required him to be gentle, kind, and compassionate toward others, tolerant of their failings, and forgiving when they sinned. Similarly, they required him to seek out others' counsel and show consideration for others' opinion. Moreover, the command given to Rasul alayhi salatu wasalam to consult with his companions applies to those like him, serve as commanders, leaders, or leaders of community, and who call others to faith. This verse is viewed as a foundational principle in Islamic government and leadership, and is the relationship between Muslim rulers or leaders and those who they rule or those who they take care of their affairs. Inshallah, we'll continue next time with the subject of Shura or consultation, or the institution, the re-establishment of the institution of Shura. I would like to remind myself first and foremost, and you, with the hadith of Rasul alayhi salatu wasalam, of him teaching us two words very heavy in the scale of good deeds, very light on the tongue, Subhanallah wa bihamdih, Subhanallah al-Azim, to say it at least 100 times a day. And know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ordered us to send prayers on Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam when he told us in the Quran, إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد اللهم ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار اللهم ربنا آمنا بما أنزلت واتبعنا الرسول فاكتبنا مع الشاهدين اللهم حبب إلينا الإيمان وزينه في قلوبنا وكره إلينا الكفر والفسوق والعصيان واجعلنا من الراشدين اللهم ربنا أعنا ولا تعن علينا وانصرنا ولا تنصر علينا وامكر لنا ولا تمكر علينا واهدنا ويسر الهدى إلينا وانصرنا على من بغى علينا سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين وأقم الصلاة إن الصلاة تنهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون اذكروا الله يذكركم